The courthouse hallway smelled of old paper and quiet regret. Ethan had been waiting for this day for months, the day everything would finally end. He thought he was prepared. Prepared to sign the papers. Prepared to walk away from the life he once promised would last forever, but the moment the elevator doors opened and she stepped out, time stopped. Sophia looked different. Not just tired. Not just distant. 7 months pregnant, and the child was his. Ethan's hand froze over the divorce papers. His mind raced with 1,000 questions he never thought he'd ask again. Why didn't she tell him? Why now? And the biggest question that would change everything, was it already too late to save what they once had? Stay with this story, because what Ethan discovers next will challenge everything he believed about love, forgiveness, and second chances. Like and subscribe to Heartfelt Stories Hub. Ethan Carter used to believe marriage meant forever. 3 years ago, when he married Sophia, their life felt like something out of a dream. They had a small apartment, big ambitions, and endless late-night conversations about the future, but dreams don't always survive reality. Ethan had started a construction company that consumed his life. Long hours. Endless stress. Financial risks. What he called building their future, Sophia experienced as loneliness. At first, she tried to support him. She cooked dinner late into the night waiting for him. She sent encouraging messages. She stayed patient through missed anniversaries and canceled trips, but patience slowly turned into silence, and silence slowly turned into distance. Arguments became normal. You're never here anymore, Sophia once said, standing in their kitchen at midnight. I'm doing this for us, Ethan replied, exhausted. That's the problem, she whispered. You think love is something you build later. That sentence stayed with him. Even now, months passed, and their marriage became a quiet battlefield of unspoken pain. No betrayal. No dramatic scandal, just two people slowly drifting apart. Eventually, Sophia moved out, then came the papers, divorce. Ethan didn't fight it, not because he stopped loving her, but because he thought she had already stopped loving him. What Ethan didn't know was that Sophia had discovered something life-changing just days after leaving the apartment. She was pregnant. At first, she didn't believe it. The doctor confirmed it. Her world shifted overnight. She thought about telling Ethan countless times, but every time she picked up the phone, she remembered their last argument, the one where he said, maybe we both deserve a fresh start. Those words hurt more than he realized. Sophia convinced herself that maybe raising the baby alone would be better than forcing a broken marriage to survive. But as the months passed, things became harder. Doctor visits. Fear. Loneliness, and the growing realization that the child deserved to know their father. That's why she came to the courthouse that morning, not just to finalize the divorce, but to finally tell the truth. When Ethan saw her standing there, his eyes slowly dropped to her stomach. His breath caught. Sophia, he whispered, barely able to speak. Are you? She nodded, yes. The silence that followed felt heavier than any argument they'd ever had. How long? Ethan asked quietly. 7 months. 7 months, that meant he had missed everything. The first heartbeat. The doctor visits. The moment she realized she was becoming a mother, all of it. A mix of shock, guilt, and confusion flooded Ethan's mind. Why didn't you tell me? He asked. Sophia's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't look angry, just tired. Because you already look like you had moved on from us. Ethan opened his mouth to respond, but for the first time in years, he had no defense. The lawyer stepped into the room holding the divorce papers, but suddenly, those papers felt meaningless, because something bigger than their past stood between them now, their child, and the question neither of them was ready to answer yet. What happens next? The judge hadn't arrived yet. They still had time. But time suddenly felt more important than ever. Ethan sat across from Sophia, his thoughts racing. He noticed things he hadn't allowed himself to see before: the exhaustion in her face, the quiet strength in her posture, the way she gently rested her hand on her stomach. Reality hit him like a storm. He wasn't just losing a marriage. He had almost lost a family. Sophia. I should have been there, Ethan said slowly. She didn't respond right away, because part of her had waited months to hear those words, and another part had learned not to expect them. You were building your company, she said calmly. I didn't want to become another pressure in your life. That's not true, Ethan said. You were never pressure. You were the reason. Sophia looked at him carefully. Sometimes people only realize what matters when they think it's gone, but trust doesn't return instantly. It has to be rebuilt. The baby suddenly kicked. Sophia smiled softly. Ethan noticed. Can I? He asked. Unsure, she hesitated, then nodded. Ethan placed his hand gently on her stomach, and in that quiet courthouse room, he felt the small movement of a life he didn't even know existed, his child. In that moment, something changed inside him, not guilt, responsibility, and hope. I don't know if we can fix everything overnight, Ethan admitted. But I want to try. Not just for the baby, but for us. Sophia's eyes searched his face, trying to see if he truly meant it, because promises were easy, change was not. You would have to be different, she said. I know. You'd have to actually be present. I will. And if you disappear again, I won't. For the first time in months, there was something new between them, not the love they once had, but the possibility of it. The judge finally entered the courtroom. The moment had arrived. Are both parties ready to proceed with the divorce? The judge asked. Ethan looked at Sophia. Sophia looked at Ethan. A long pause filled the room. Then Sophia took a slow breath. Your Honor, we'd like more time. The judge nodded knowingly, because sometimes the strongest decisions are the ones that delay endings. Weeks passed. Ethan began changing his life step by step. He hired a manager for his company. He attended every doctor appointment. He learned about parenting, late nights, and responsibility. But more importantly, he listened, something he hadn't done before. Sophia didn't forgive him immediately. Trust takes time. But Ethan stayed every day, and sometimes, staying is the most powerful form of love. Point 2. Months later, on a rainy evening, their baby girl was born. Ethan stood beside Sophia the entire time. When he held his daughter for the first time, tears filled his eyes. Welcome to the world, he whispered. Sophia watched him carefully, and for the first time in a long time, she smiled without hesitation, not because everything was perfect, but because they chose not to give up. Their story didn't end at the courthouse. It restarted there, and sometimes, the most beautiful families are the ones that almost fell apart, but chose to rebuild stronger than before. Final message of the story: life doesn't always break relationships with dramatic moments. Sometimes it's simply neglect, distance, and silence, but love has a strange way of returning when people are willing to change, forgive, and show up when it matters most, because in the end, family isn't just something you start, it's something you fight to keep.